Hello, everyone. I'm kicking off the various streams on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. It'll be just a second. Sorry I'm running just a couple of minutes late. Noon hit me faster than intended. Yeah. Why does time not stop based on my schedule? That's my question to you today. All right. I do see Woody saying we may not have sound. Let me know if you're hearing moi. There we go. Okay. All right, good. Wilbur, sir, I can talk about that in just a second here. I'm extremely loud. Oh, actually, my mic does look like it's clipping a bit. Let me take care of that. Thank you. Clip, clip, clip. Oh, yeah. All right. Clip, clip, clip. Hey, there we go. That should be much better. All right. Hey, everyone. Welcome to the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream on Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. I am Standing Stone Games Community Manager Cordovan, and I'm going to be with you for the next hour on Sarlona, running my level cap character. I realize I've not done against the slave lords on this character, so let's do that thing. Welcome, everyone. We're going to have a little bit on the latest news. We can tell you about what's going on regarding lag, that sort of thing, and a little bit more here, hopefully in the near future. So I am happy to be here on staying at home for the foreseeable future. So enjoy my peek at my living room. I don't know. Hello, Johnny and Blabo on YouTube, and Alex and Crew on Facebook. Okay, so let me actually start with Alex's comment, because I think it's pretty apropos, which is quick reminder that the Orchard Necropolis Explorer is broken. The lag or bad performance or whatever bleeds through the public area in close proximity to the Explorer. The game starts lagging from the moment you teleport at the gate. Yes, we have been actively investigating with our engineers and our content people, the Orchard of the Macabre in particular, because something is not right. I'm not quite sure what. We haven't yet identified the exact cause, although we do know that it is related to our physics engine work that has been the wider cause of game performance problems that you've been seeing in recent weeks. Apparently, I have not played this bard since we swapped out the bard songs. All right. So, yes, we are actively investigating an issue with the Orchard of the Macabre. Specifically, there seems to be an issue with the mummies in there. It has something to do with aggro, and there's something to do with the trees in there, of all things. Doing some kind of weird detect. So we're working on that, and hopefully we will have a patch to correct that in the near future. We did do our weekly restart this week because we were not prepared to roll out any kind of fixes for it yet. The current plan is to perhaps release update 46 next week. If that happens,
the path beyond the service entrance will lead
then we will be including hopefully some of these fixes in that. Otherwise, depending on what happens, we may just go live with a regular kind of fix patch next week. But it all really depends on our ability to not just identify what's going on, but correct the issues that are causing it. So stay tuned for that. We are aware of what you're talking about, and hopefully we'll have a fix for it in the near future. Alright. Yep, stick to the middle. Do we have a trapper here? I'm definitely not it.
The path leads to an ancient wall. The symbol of the slave lords hangs above the crumbling gateway.
And Velshard, I don't talk Lotra on the DDO stream and DDO on the Lotra stream, but for those of you who are curious, yeah, this is happening in both games, which is another reason why we were able to track it down to really an update to one of our third-party physics engines that was not playing nicely with some of our game code. Now, we don't think that that alone is the problem either. Unfortunately, as with most, quote, lag investigations, you end up in a situation where you're kind of playing whack-a-mole. But we have identified some things that we can do, and we are doing them. We have been doing that. There was a patch last week to make some corrections. But as folks are well aware, while it may have knocked down one of the sources of our problems, it had a halo impact that is causing some other problems that you've been witnessing since the patch.
The door here appears to have been destroyed.
The commute from my couch is really backed up. No, actually, I can tell you exactly what's been going on, although, again, this has to do with more... Well, it actually does have to do with both games, although only kind of. So, the reason I'm late today is we got a really cool message over the weekend on Sunday afternoon from one of our Lord of the Rings online streamers, who is a volunteer with the nonprofit organization Doctors Without Borders. You may be familiar with that group. They do basically a lot of health field related work throughout the world. Doctors Without Borders, kind of self-explanatory there. And they're often some of the people who go into the most dangerous health conditions around the world as volunteers and do some work that saves an incredibly large amount of lives. So, they're a great group. And we heard from a Lotro streamer on Sunday who is taking part in a fundraising effort that Doctors Without Borders is doing, starting today, running through the 21st, called Streamers Without Borders. And if you just do a quick Google search, you'll get all the info you need on that one. So they were asking basically, hey, can we get them some freebies and codes and such to help? Which, of course, we are happy to do. So I kicked him a bunch of kind of Lotro points codes and such to give away. And, oops, there we go. And was able to actually get a contact from the Doctors Without Borders organization as part of that. And that person from Doctors Without Borders replied back to me yesterday saying, hey, that's awesome that you're doing that for the Lotra streamer. We have some Dungeons & Dragons tabletop streamers that are also going to be taking part in the effort. And I realize you're, not tabletop D&D, but DDO. But would you be willing to kick these tabletop streamers some free codes for DDO for their stream stuff? And of course, the answer to that was, oh, yeah. So that is actually why I'm late, is I was wrapping up a spreadsheet to give to Doctors Without Borders of all groups some free codes. That would be DDO points codes and some Ravenloft and Sharn expansion codes that they'll be using to give away to some of their tabletop fundraising that they'll be doing over the next 6 days. So I know a bunch of you are probably into tabletop just like, the rest of us. And if you happen to be supporting one of those streamers, keep an eye out, maybe give DDO a shout out, and we should be getting a little bit of DDO kind of awareness thanks to this Doctors Without Borders thing. And that's awesome. A great group to support, and so we were thrilled to be able to do it. And that's pretty cool. So that ultimately is why I'm not here at noon, because I needed to get their spreadsheet to the New York office through email prior to their streamers kicking off on the European time zone later today for those of them who are doing that.
The air grows chill in the graveyard. The plants sway gently, even though there is no wind.
What I don't know is exactly which tabletop streamers are taking part in this. Like I said, it was really just more of a outreach from someone with Doctors Without Borders saying, "Hey, on top of this one Lotro streamer, we've got some tabletop streamers. Would you be willing to help?" But I didn't actually get a list of like all the tabletop streamers in that, so I don't actually know. But I would imagine if you happen to see a D&D tabletop streamer streaming as part of Streamers Without Borders, that might well be a group to keep an eye on. Oh, that was exciting. I'm really happy with that. We were able to do that. Doctors Without Borders is not a group we'd sort of previously worked with before, but thankfully they were kind enough to reach out to us. Please fix the broken pillar in the market by Devil Assault. Gosh, that's a long-term one. If I recall correctly, you're talking about basically the waterfall pillar. The long-term reason why that thing's been a little on the weird side has to do with the fact that it's internally right on the edge of a land block. So sometimes when you are seeing maybe a little hitch or whatever, it's actually land block loading.
Go ahead. I'll keep watching your house.
Mauricio, I'm sorry to say that we are not in a position to offer DDO in Brazilian Portuguese. We really don't have any plans to do further language support for the game. I'm sorry. I know it's something our Brazilian Portuguese speaking players would like us to do. And we love you. We just don't really have the bandwidth and resources to support a multilingual game client. Which is also why we don't support, say, French and German anymore. And haven't since about 2013. No, nothing to announce, no plans to bring Tomb of Horrors to the game, although, I'm sure we'd be down for it. But it's just not on our schedule for the near future. What is on our schedule for the near future is Update 46, and like I said, that could come out as soon as next week. It's a relatively small content patch. It does have an adventure pack and a few other things in it, along with, some physics changes and a bunch of things that you've seen maybe on the Lamania release notes. But we're working to get that out as soon as we can, so hopefully we'll have some good news on that. quite sure what, let's see, what else can I talk about? Through April 30th, in case, I think most everyone here is aware, but just in case you are joining the program or watching from afar or what have you, all of our quests, raids, and content's free through April 30th, so it's a good time to check out this stuff. Maybe you've got an adventure pack that you've not been sure you want to spend the DDO points on or whatever. Now's a great time to check that stuff out. And that's running through April 30th. The weekend bonus is a 10% VIP XP boost. That kicks off tomorrow and runs through Sunday. Oops. Wrong thing. Isle of Dread is on our agenda. We don't have really kind of something to announce on that, but it is on the agenda. It's been on the agenda for a while, but yeah. Someday, that is going to be a thing. And by that I mean we actually plan to release Isle of Dread. Will the new UD fix the game lag and the fact the game is becoming unplayable for us? I think you mean by UD, I'm assuming you mean update. Will it permanently fix all lag? No. But we are very much expecting to have some work in there related to game performance. Absolutely. Again, sort of referencing the Orchard of the Macabre stuff and some of that. Unfortunately, I have a little bit of bad news, which is that one of the issues we have uncovered has to do with the mummies. I can't think of the formal name is dropping. It's not mummy rot, but it's the crushing despair effect that mummies have on an AoE. And we've determined that it is not basically proccing when it should. It's sort of going to someplace weird, and that is causing some game performance issues. What the fix for that means is that you may well end up running into that crushing despair effect more regularly. So, particularly if you're on hardcore, may I suggest remove fear? As an AoE, that should counter it, I believe. But you may well be seeing a little bit more of that proccing on your unprepared characters here after the patch. Greater heroism. Sorry. Yeah, right. Greater heroism, not crushing despair. The remove fear effect does help with preventing mummy rot, if I'm not mistaken, right? Fallon Neshoba, I don't personally know the answer about whether the falconry attacks are intended to require an active target or not. That's something I would have to ask the team about. Or have immunity to fear items, right? Or just be a paladin. Nice. Oh, the only counter to that is good hope, not greater heroism. Okay. Clearly it's been a while since I've had to worry about it. Yeah, the next 4 days off and our home. Cool. The only thing I want to caution is I'm providing probably more detail about this Orchard of the Macabre thing than is intelligent for me to say from a community management perspective. And the reason I say that is that I think there's a concern that by talking about that, people may feel like, hey, they said they were going to fix all the lag, and I'm still seeing lag after we're done with this, whatever we end up doing next week. I would love it. We would love it. It would be super thrilling if this solved all lag, but I would say the odds of that being the case are unfortunately slim. However, hopefully it'll make a difference here. And the weekend bonus is 10% VIP XP. That kicks off tomorrow and runs through Sunday. I also need to figure out why my adrenaline is not generating like it should be. I need to figure out what I'm doing. What I don't have toggled that perhaps I ought. Nothing to announce regarding Otto's boxes. We did have them available, well, within the past couple of months here, for sure. I mean, I know we had them for, what, the anniversary, but I think we even had them once after that, right? So, Draco Noir, technically the Mummy Despair effect will be more frequently seen rather than coming back. And I'm going off the top of my head here, so I'm sure the wiki will be a much better source for this. But my understanding is that, based on what I'm seeing in chat here, the solution is actually good hope, rather than what I stated, which was fear immunity. The reason I'm kind of using some weird words there is technically it never went away. The issue, as I remember from yesterday's Teams chat, is that it would try to apply once, but it would often apply to something other than a player, like say something in the environment or an NPC or something like that, and then wasn't smart enough to know to unapply and reapply again. So it's not that it ever was gone, it's just that you rarely saw it because it would have to proc on you first rather than someone else or something else in the environment. And the odds of that happening were, well, whatever the odds were based on the number of objects that it was trying to erroneously apply it to. Yeah, I think it, frankly, part of this investigation reveals it may well have been like this since about 2010 in Dragon War. Unfortunately. Sorry to hear your graphics card is shot. I had a horrific situation happen to me yesterday. Well, actually not yesterday, but, well. So on Monday, I lost power to the house for about 12 hours. And when it powered back on, one of my 3 computer monitors was not working. It was a crisis. I don't know how people live without 3 computer monitors, but for me, it was just like, no. Thankfully, I got it fixed. I don't know how it got fixed, but somehow it got fixed. So all day yesterday, I was down by 1 monitor, and it was just a pain in the keister. And I was sitting there going, oh, it's going to be such a bummer on the live streams this week, trying to deal with 2 computer monitors. So now I'm back to 3, thankfully. So I'm sorry to hear about your graphics card. That sucks. Trust me, everyone in the office is making fun of my 3 computer monitors as well. But I argue that if you're a streamer and or community person, it actually is genuine benefit for my workload. For example, on the stream here, I have 1 window set for XSplit, which is what I'm using. It could be OBS or whatever as well. So I've got that in the left monitor, so I can kind of glance to it and pop over to different scenes and whatever I need to. The middle monitor ends up being the game client, of course, for DDO. And then the right window ends up being the 3 chat rooms that I use for the live stream, Twitch, YouTube, and Facebook. And if I was down to 2 monitors, I'd have to sacrifice the visibility of one of those 3 things, obviously not the game client, in order to be able to pull off these streams well. So it's like, well, do I just keep chat up and then not be able to see if I messed up something or if I'm muted or what have you on OBS or XSplit? Or do I constantly minimize and unminimize the chat windows and all that sort of thing? Anyway, so it's been a just say I am thrilled to have my 3 monitors back. Macubre, updating augments is a big task and one that has long been on our plate, but not one that I am aware of us planning to do in the short term. Yeah, really roughing it at home during the crisis. How do people live with just 2 monitors? Because they don't have a need for it. And just so folks No, I don't really... I have 3 monitors, but they're not, like, all 3 good monitors. They're really cobbled together from just me doing a bunch of monitors over time. So I've got one that I picked up on the cheap from a local electronics store, because it was on a Black Friday sale. I have one on my left-hand monitor, which mostly works, but occasionally decides to become all green and look like a Apple IIe chromatic monitor. And then my one on the right is actually an old, cheap LED television monitor that I picked up when I first moved to Massachusetts because I didn't have a TV. And so I picked up one of those kind of, I think it was like $120 specials from Best Buy. And I'm using a TV monitor as a third screen computer monitor. But whatever, it's an LED 1920 by 1080 monitor. Works just fine. So, but they're all at different heights just because of their bases. And so I kind of have a bit of a goofy setup at home. Ideally, if I was really planning out a budget or whatever, I'd have 3 identical monitors, or honestly probably 2 ultra widescreen monitors. But I don't. So it's sort of like most of the things. I am swimming in electronics that have been cobbled together over time from flea markets, discounts, and stuff that I found on the side of the road. There you go. And none of them are particularly big monitors. I think the largest size screen I've got here is like 21 inches. So. No, this is, like I say, one of them is an old monitor that kind of craps out occasionally. One of them is a regular cheap monitor. And then one of them is an old TV. So they're not, like, mountable or any of that kind of thing. Hey, Melody. Thanks for being on Facebook. Nice to see you. I've tried doing the thing, because I love some of the screenshots from the DDO community where you have extended screen monitors. There's one person in particular that's gotten just amazing 4K ultra widescreen setup, and I'm jealous every time I look at it. When I tried extending the DDO game client across 2 monitors, it doesn't work very well, because like I say, the monitors are all kind of uneven, and so it just doesn't look very good. Oops. Lol. However, if I ended up doing, let's say, some kind of thing in the future where let's just say theoretically a couple of these monitors decided not to work anymore, I probably would, if I was building from scratch, I would spend a little extra cash and buy 1 or 2 wide, like kind of ultra wide screen monitors, and probably switch to really a 2 monitor setup and do it that way. The reason we don't have a teleport option to the portable hole is really a lore thing. I must have already done this. Okay. It's really a lore thing in that it's meant to be a place just for arcanes. And so by requiring the teleport spell, they essentially make it an exclusive arcanes only club, even though they don't really, because there are other ways to get there. But that's the why, as to why it is required with the teleport spell rather than otherwise. I have not heard of any plans to work on the Shatter Kai enhancement tree. Sorry. I don't have anything to announce on any other enhancement work that might take place. HDMI on most. One of them uses an old DVI port. My oldest monitor, the one I was telling you, occasionally likes to act like a Apple IIgs green chromatic screen, which is actually the reason I went and bought the third monitor to begin with.
A group of orcs stand around a cauldron,
Runs on a
chanting in their
DVI
harsh
port,
tongue.
but the other two are
The
HDMI.
witch doctor looks up and says,
Adventurers! Oh, I love adventurers. Nobody complains when I break them.
I bet on the Arcane forums in Stormreach, not like they've got forums, but I bet if they have Arcane forums in Eberron, there would be a large discussion of, do alchemists count? They're not real arcanes. You did miss the comment about lag in the orchard. We're aware of it, and we're working on it. It's not technically lag, it's really a halo impact of the work we did to correct game performance issues last week. Had an unintended halo effect that is tickling something very strange in the Orchard of the Macabre specifically. And the reason the Orchard of the Macabre specifically is because it's a particularly old piece of landscape that utilizes kind of some quirks that are not currently used in other landscapes. You know, remember that Orchard of the Macabre dates back to, what, 2007? So. Austin, the why on that is really just a design decision. Okay. Shadow Walk. I am not personally aware, Growler, about a visual glitch on other players' names appearing gold yellow. As you can see, it's not happening to me. I think the issue with that one computer monitor, the one I was telling you about, kind of likes to pretend it's a Apple IIgs green screen sometimes, is really just that it's an old, cheap monitor that I've had for about 10 years now. Yeah, I think it's just wearing out. Should be all of them. Weird. It goes away if you drag your mouse over the name. I have not seen that. I don't know. I'm going to assume we probably have a bug report on it, but if not, certainly wouldn't hurt to send one in.
You freed many slaves from the grip of the slave lords. Dame Gold will be pleased.
So I tend to side, at least right now, with the folks in Twitch chat who are saying Alchemist should be able to UMD a teleport scroll. You've got quite a few skill points. If that's a concern for you, I guess I'd be surprised if a higher level Alchemist was unable to invest the points in UMD if they wanted to, and not be able to use a teleport scroll.
The slave lord looks you over. Yes, you'll fetch a fine price, once you're properly broken. Guards, take them alive if you can. If not, well, it won't be a complete loss.
A quick note for those who are interested, I will be doing a one-shot Dungeon Master thing on Sunday. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern, right here on twitch.tv/DDO stream. I'm doing a one-off for D&D night on DDO stream. It's going to be called the 3-Hour Tour, and there may be some of you as old as me who will get that reference. And it's going to be a true one-shot, so the party is going to have, let's just say something about 3 hours to do whatever it is they need to do. So if you're bored on Sunday evening and you want to see some tabletop streaming involving a bunch of DDO players, check it out. And that's every Sunday, starting at 7 p.m. Eastern on twitch.tv/DDO stream. So Falanashoba, the 64-bit client should be available to you to switch to in the drop-down menu of the game launcher. You're still going to default to the 32-bit client, but you should be able to swap it over to the 64-bit
play a
client.
major role in the slave trade. More clues about the slave lords can doubtless be found there. Your search for the slave lords has led to a large fortress complex deep in the wilderness. You scale the clatter and clang of armor can be heard from down the hallway.
The House of Wizardry not having the flash powder scroll is something I'll have to ask either a Steel Star or a Linabelle about. I can say that flash powder is a very, very nice alchemist spell. Probably the most cast alchemist spell in my arsenal. Yes, Sitar, and this is indeed Travis Willingham doing the DM voice work for the Against the Slave
Outer courtyard
Lords.
is used as a mustering point, where the slavers meet before going out on raids. Hobgoblins can be heard rushing to take positions on the platforms above. This part of the complex doesn't seem to have been used for quite
Never
some
mind, sorry about
time.
that. Yeah, we're gonna skip that. Oh, someone raised Lesser Reincarnation in chat, and I wanted to call out something based on a private message I received on the DDO forums this week. So a while back, when we released Update 45, I think it was, we gave all clerics a free feat respec, and that was so that they could swap out their domain feat for free based on work that had been done in that patch. Unfortunately, there was a halo to that work, which is that it erroneously gave it to favored souls as well. Favored souls don't have domain feet to swap, and so what ended up happening is it busted them in regards to being able to swap feats with Fred. The solution to get that done is to lesser reincarnate. A lesser reincarnate should resolve that issue for favored souls who are stuck, unable to use the free feat respecs by Fred. And so what you need to do, if you never lesser reincarnated since update 45 and you're running into this issue, is to contact customer service. They should be able to get you a lesser heart or whatever they need to do to resolve that issue. But we're going to go that route rather than a route of, say, versioning all favored souls, because it's been deemed a kind of a risky thing to do, with the odds of us causing additional problems are unfortunately a little too high, given a relatively simple solution of lesser reincarnate. So, if that's you, if you're sitting there going, "Oh, that's me," get in touch with customer support, and they should be able to sort this out for you.
On closer inspection, this bear is stuffed and mounted on a tree. Pull the lever.
Dope.
There's a soft pop, and the second lever is pulled. A rush of air can be felt as the doors down the hallway open.
Just take these out. Sorry, okay. Roar. Roar. Best DM line in the game? Yes. That trap always gets me. I haven't run... well, clearly the fact that I haven't run this yet on my capped character is... I haven't run Slave Lords in a while here. I've been enjoying it, though. Someone in DDO Stream Slack recently mentioned that... Man, what, were we in a bad mood or whatever when we made Slave Lords? Because it's so much more difficult than all the other quests. It came out during a time pre-Reaper, when we were getting quite a bit of feedback from the community that they wanted increased difficulty on some of these quests. So when we were making Slave Lords, I think the design team had a bit of a, I don't want to say like formal directive, but just kind of a thing saying, hey, it's okay if you make it tough. And I think they kind of went with that and ran with it. So yes, Slave Lords can be a little more challenging than some of the other content of its level, particularly on the heroic side, and that's the reason why.
Slave cages line the walls of this large complex. A control cage can be seen on the far end of the room. The moment you enter, slaves plead to be released from captivity. control cell door drops from the jig. Inside the cage are several levers. It seems likely that they control the doors to the slave cells. The door barring the third lever is pulled, and the remaining slaves flee the fort.
Ultimately, following the show, but we did, I think, in part respond to the feedback that this was difficult by moving forward with our plans for Reaper difficulty. Not only the reason why, but I don't think it hurt in terms of why we would want to bring that additional level of granular difficulty choice to the game. So to that extent, we do have a much wider variety than we used to of difficulty. And, you know, we've always had casual, normal, hard, elite. Well, almost always. And now you've got 10 levels of Reaper to up that difficulty to whatever level it is that you're looking for.
These are the officers' quarters for the orcs who guard this area. A leader.
Running just a few minutes late, Samus, as you can tell. Samus Garobo will be up in a little bit. I have to say, I like this character a lot, although I've not really been keeping up with developing this character. And it mostly, I'm real happy with, say, my attack speed, my DPS, overall utility. The one thing that being here lacks is enough PRR, MRR to be able to survive those blasts. It's why I'm kind of whack dying in a one-shot here, is I'm a little bit of a glass cannon. I think if I were to spend the time to retweak this character, I might swap out a few things to better get myself survivability, because I'm just a little bit too squishy. Hey Voodoo, how's it going? And all the Voodoo crew. Yeah, I need more dodge, and frankly I need more MRR and PRR just flat out, because it's just not where it needs to be for survivability on Legendary here. My DPS is not bad for me, but I am definitely squishy in a way that is not ideal. Oh, nice, John. Nice to see you back. Someone on Facebook returning after 8 years away. He's not a glass cannon, he's just glass. Okay. Maybe you're right. It's a very pretty glass.
The door opens to reveal a passageway leading deeper into the fortress.
It's the kind of glass where you're like, wow, I bet that would hold up pretty well to a BB gun, and then you try it and shatter the glass. But hey, it looked cool while it lasted. That's true. I also do need some accuracy.
Leading down to the dungeon below.
So, clearly I've got some stuff that I need to work with because my adrenaline's not going back up like it normally does. One of the main things that I use on this is high attack speed plus the swashbuckler enhancement tree that every time you don't crit, your crit range expands until you do crit. And up until sort of the high end of the game here, that's been really all I needed. But you're right, now that I'm on, like, say, Legendary, some of that 2-hit is starting, or some of that decision to give up 2-hit in place of other things is starting to impact my build. Yeah, let me... It's the, what is it, this one here. Exploit weakness. While swashbuckling, every time you damage an enemy but do not crit, you get a +1 insight bonus to critical threat range until you do. And I'm using really the old school, because this character was made a while ago, buckler and single weapon fighting line.
Folds you as the door opens. Various grim-looking devices are scattered throughout this torture chamber.
Thank you, John. Old Zuriat server, cool. So that's the thing, though. My adrenaline should be recharging. Even if it is only on Vorpal hits, my attack speed is such that I should be getting some, and I'm getting none. So I'm not quite sure what I have set up incorrectly. Why my adrenaline is not recharging here. But I can look at that after the live stream. Actually, I think I know. Because oh no, I've got Fury of the Wild. Oh, because I haven't spent any, my tree got reset, and I haven't spent any points in it.
The door opens to reveal a large chasm.
I'll do
The
it.
glint of two different gems can
Hey,
be seen
you
down
know,
on the cavern floor.
These points are just a suggestion. It's just a suggestion. You don't actually need to do it. All right.
With the door unsealed, you may continue into the caverns below.
I was a Boy Scout. I was indeed a Boy Scout. I was never an Eagle Scout, but I was a Boy Scout throughout most of my preteen and teen years. I maybe wasn't a very good one, but I was one. So I take it a step further. I am prepared to be prepared. I'm just not so good at the actually following through and preparing part of it. I am prepared to be very prepared. That is a lot of grazing hits, though. You're absolutely right.
A rumbling sound can be heard from the corridor above. A soft buzzing sound can be heard as you approach the door. Bees swarm near their hives.
I would
Surely
expect
this
Otto's
is from a
boxes to
honey.
return to the DDO
You should be
store
safe, unless
soonish, but I don't really know per se. I don't really have a good time frame for you. Typically, it's something we do during kind of special times like anniversaries, things like that. We also tend to... So it ends up usually being something about once a quarter-ish, once every 3-4 months. And it's been... We had it, I know, for the anniversary. I would expect to see it at some
doors
point.
open, reveal The hobgoblins have built 3 defensive positions inside this massive cavern. You'll need to destroy these strong points before you can continue further. Last of the outpost's defenders falls.
You want the Mimic Hunt back? I like the Mimic Hunt a lot too. We do tend to get a little bit of mixed feedback on it. I still think it's safe to say that, quote, in a very colloquial sense, quote, most players want the Mimic Hunt. But there's definitely kind of a subgroup out there that would not be unhappy if we never brought the Mimic Hunt back. I like it.
The natural cavern once again gives way to a masonry hallway.
I specifically, regarding Boy Scouts, remember going to a summer camp. I guess 89 or 90? I don't know when it was. And I had done one of those things where, like, you do this, you go to camp a week early, and then you're, like, you know, cutting trees and beautifying the path and all that sort of thing, not just as a service project, but also as a way to basically go to camp for free. It's kind of like a work, pay off the camp cost thing. And so I was there along with my twin brother and a couple of friends and all that a week ahead of the regular summer camp opening. And when we did that, we had an opportunity to really just live in a cabin for a week, kind of away from the regular Boy Scout camp. And pretty much the entire week was spent, except for the bits that we had to do for, you know, to meet whatever the program was. We spent doing two things. Playing Super Mario 3 on the NES, and playing Dungeons & Dragons tabletop. All week long. It was awesome. It was awesome. We spent basically a week at Boy Scout camp with a whole bunch of D&D fans just playing tabletop. The other thing that I remember most about that Boy Scout camp experience was that we snuck out one night because the camp counselor was old enough to drive, and we snuck into a rated R movie, which was very exciting at the age of whatever it was, not 17. And we went to see one film called Flatliners. Anyone know Flatliners? Follow up by the crew that made Lost Boys. And so instead of basically cutting trails and stuff, although we did do some of that, we met our minimum required to go through the program, as it were. We spent most of that entire week playing Super Mario 3, Dungeons & Dragons, and sneaking out and going to see Flatliners. So.
The sound of scuffling guards and agitated prisoners comes from the room to your right.
I think it was also the last time I was on a horse, because I took the horsemanship merit badge, and they had a really cool stable thing. So I remember taking care of a kind of an elderly horse for a week and really enjoying it. Oops. Okay, maybe I need to stop this. I'm dying too much. At 1990, it would have been the SNES, not the NES. Yes, except we didn't have a SNES. We had the NES version.
Open the last doors. Slaves emerge from their cells and escape.
I think. Maybe I'm wrong about that, though. Now that you think about it, I need to remember. I don't remember if the NES version came out at the same time as the SNES version or not. I don't actually know that one. My hardcore alts are... I haven't had a lot of time in the last week to play on Hardcore League. To be honest, I've been a little busy with both real life and work life. This lag stuff and getting the updates ready and all that has meant has kept us pretty busy. But, going this way, right? But my character is currently level 4, I think. I had a level 9 and that person died, and then I've been running with the sort of group I regularly have been running with on hardcore. But I've been splitting my time because they still have some of their higher level characters, and I do not. So I haven't really had a lot of time to work on it, but I do plan to between now and top of my head, May 12th-ish, I think is the 90 days on that one. There we go.
Before you stands Juliet, Marquessa's assistant.
The weekend bonus is 10% VIP XP that'll kick off tomorrow and run through Sunday. Yes, Kiefer Sutherland was in Flatliners, the OG one. So was Kevin Bacon, Julia Roberts, Oliver Platt, one of the Baldwins, Stephen Baldwin maybe? Star-studded cast. Like I said, it was written by the same team that did Lost Boys and directed by the same person who directed Lost Boys. It was sort of their commercial follow-up after the huge success that the Lost Boys was. Doesn't hold up as well nowadays, but it's not terrible.
Marquessa awaits your arrival inside this well-appointed room.
Yeah, this is the last quest. I'm going to be heading off in just a couple of minutes here once this is done. Yeah, May 12th. Hey, I was right.
Marquessa's double is dead. No longer in thrall to the madwoman who remade her in her own image.
For any of the Minnesotans out there, I'm pretty sure the name of the camp was Camp Cayuga. And I think it's located kind of near the Brainerd area. Oh, it's been so long. I might be wrong about that.
Stands a powerful minotaur, ready to defend Marquessa to its dying breath.
So what, about 10 seconds? I have more than enough base rings on this character. Or on this account. Not this character, because I haven't run it before, apparently. At least not this life.
Marquessa, the slave lord, stands before you. Some kind of object is encased in a magical field behind her.
Yes, maybe wearing some armor would help. Oh! Maybe. God. What happened to my armor? It must have gotten busted at one point. There we are. Yeah, I bet it just got busted from those deaths. Hey, no armor, no Epic Destiny points spent. It's fine. Wow. What am I getting hit with? Looks like just 200 and some plus pierce damage, which, given my death count, is causing me issues.
And her followers routed. Now to marked on the map is a cave that leads to the Slavers' City.
Whew.
Surely this
All
must
right,
be
thanks
the
for
Slave Lord's
the
main
res
base.
spam. Guess I needed it. Alright, I am going to get you all a points code in the endgame mail later on today. And I want to thank everyone for watching the weekly Wednesday lunchtime live stream. I'll be back next Wednesday at noon Eastern for more. Samus Garobo is going to be up here in just a couple of minutes. Thanks so much for being here, and I will talk to you all again soon.